Alright you guys, this is day 1 of chipping through video suggestions from you guys. I did a poll asking what you all wanted to see and this was one of the top comments. So without wasting any time, let's begin this video. Oh, actually one more thing. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. We're so close to 3K. Especially if you consistently watch my videos, right? But with that said, let's begin this video. Again, one more quick message, don't click off yet. This is for those of you that like to nitpick my videos. I know that for the majority of this video, I do say whispering me a love song. So yeah, I know, you don't need to correct it. I know. Before we begin, I want to ask you all a question. Have you ever had something that you loved? Something that you were not only passionate about, but something that defined you as a person? It doesn't matter if it's a musical instrument, a favorite game, it can be anything. If your response was yes, then you are very similar to Shiho Izumi. Shiho Izumi, at a young age, had a natural talent and passion for the violin. This talent led Shiho to always securing a spot at number 1, whether it be in recitals or competitions. You can bet that Shiho was always in the lead. The violin was a defining part in Shiho's character. It was the first piece of music that she was introduced to. It's what paved the way to her later music-related endeavors. However, as many of us know, if you only win, you don't know defeat. In Shiho's case, Shiho had never been lower than number 1. First place after a while became her standard. So when that standard isn't met, and in one of her competitions, she is completely outshined as a violinist, it's the first time that Shiho experiences defeat. It's the first time that Shiho realized that the number 1 violinist wasn't her. It was someone else. As a child, you can only assume that this revelation was heartbreaking, but above all, this was also a perspective-changing experience for Shiho. And that it was. Not receiving that trophy, not receiving that praise that she'd grown so accustomed to, it changed her outlook on music. In a lot of ways, you can say that it opened her eyes to the harsh reality of the world of musicians. A lot of musicians, even in the real world, believe that they are the best of the best, which isn't true. There is always someone better. The violin, which was something that Shiho previously loved, became something that began eating away at her. Friends, hobbies, all of it was thrown away in pursuit of regaining her status as number 1. However, no matter how much she tried, she could never top the girl who stripped her of her identity. The violin would continue eating away at her, until she could no longer face it, until her world, formerly tinged in all sorts of colors, grew monotone as her passion slipped away. The girl that brought out these feelings within Shiho, Kyo, wasn't even truly a violinist at heart. She wanted to be a guitarist, yet she was restricted by her environment. So that path never made it anywhere for Kyo. This is very crucial to Shiho as a character because Shiho decides to abandon the violin and pick up the guitar in Kyo's stead. Rather than striving in vain to reclaim her throne as the number 1 violinist, she'd instead choose to make her way into the world as a guitarist, to spite the girl who took everything away from her. Though this scene is quite bitter, this scene also symbolizes a lot. Shiho loved the violin as a child, so her making the conscious decision to abandon her beloved violin and pick up the guitar, an instrument she had no prior passion for, represents the loss of dreams, the loss of innocence. Shiho is giving all of it up. Now, I want to ask you guys again, what's something you love? Games, drawing, maybe even writing, whatever it is. Would you be willing to give that up? Ever in your whole entire life? Would you toss it to the side? I'd assume not, yet Shiho does. And that's a core aspect of Shiho's character. Shiho is not only resilient, but Shiho has steel willpower. But beneath the surface, this is the point where music becomes more than just a hobby. Carrying the desire to surpass Kyo as a guitarist, Shiho hops from band to band at school, gaining a reputation for being someone who arbitrarily joins and leaves bands. But the reason for this wasn't just because she was indecisive or uncertain. No, Shiho had a lot riding on her back. She couldn't afford playing with people worse than herself, especially if she wanted to meet her goal of climbing the endless world of guitarist. This is another core piece of the puzzle to understanding Shiho Izumi. Shiho wants to play serious. She doesn't want to be let down. She's dedicated to this dream. It is her character. And when Shiho joins SS with Aki, it's very similar to her other experiences. SS Girls wasn't exceptionally good, yet this time, Shiho chose to stay for longer. Because unlike the other bands she had previously joined, in SS Girls, she found something that she lost a long time ago. That being that enjoyment, that passion for music, something beyond her dream born out of spite. SS girls felt like it was the saving grace for Shiho, especially Aki. Shiho found something more in SS girls. She found love. She found a place to call her home. However, Shiho's growing feelings for Aki would remain unrequited after coming to the shocking revelation that Aki instead had feelings for Yuri. At that moment, everything for Shiho came crashing down. The band, her first love, the quote-unquote place where she belonged, it's all gone. Just like that. And with that, Shiho is left with no choice but to abandon the band. It's tragic, but staying in SS girls would drown her. It's the human and realistic choice to do. After already having her identity, her pride ripped to shreds as a child, and having her passion rejected time and time again, when she does find it in her to open her heart to the world once more, everything is seemingly stolen. In her own words, it's almost like a curse. Shiho's choice to leave SS girls is the culmination of everything thus far, dating all the way back to when she was a child, and at this point, she just doesn't want any more of it. Everything relating to music in Shiho's life inevitably brings her pain. It's at the point where she just wants to quit music. She just wants to leave it behind. That's what she believes to be the logical choice, to quit it, to leave it all behind and move forward. But Shiho is a character who is bound by music no matter what. Shiho does not take losses lightly. No matter how heartbroken she is, no matter how exhausted she is, how frustrated she is, Shiho's curse is to keep climbing to the top no matter what. And this is why I think that Shiho is a character like no other that the Whispering Me a Love Song community adores. Shiho is a character who brings a new formula to the genre. She isn't someone who fails once or twice and just decides to quit. She's someone who fails over and over and over, yet has no choice but to continue through her pain. That resilience is what resonates with people. It lets you feel how deep Shiho's connection with music is. And it goes without saying, but creating a character like this is not only difficult, but something that requires a lot of precision, no matter who you are as a mangaka. Shiho's character after leaving SS Girls becomes conflicted. She's aware that she needs to strive higher, that she needs to return to her roots and try to become the best once more, which she previously was doing before joining SS Girls. Yet memories of Aki, the girl who gave her a hand when she was at her lowest, flow in left and right. This reaction is what makes Shiho feel so human. Just because you want to prioritize becoming the best, or because you've set your resolve to become the best, doesn't mean that you can just leave everything behind like that. And again, that's part of Shiho's curse. She doesn't want to leave Aki behind. She still clings to the memories that they shared together in SS Girls. She still clings to the idea that maybe they can go back. But in relation to Shiho's character, it feels like these hypotheticals do more harm than good. And don't get me wrong, Shiho was completely right. If her and Aki continued going down the same path, there was a good chance that in the long run, that would have done more harm than good to both of them. But fortunately enough, a Himari exists to force these characters to interact, so we don't need to imagine a reality like that. I suppose that Himari could be considered the little bit of luck that shines into Shiho's life. When it comes down to tragic characters like Shiho, more often than not, they don't get their happy ending. We see this all the time in Yuri manga, romance manga, etc, etc. A lot of the time, they are pushed to the side and left to rot. This is why I was ecstatic when Shiho and Aki finally made up in chapter 44 and began dating soon after. I haven't really spoken much about Whispering Me a Love Song on my channel, but I do want you guys to know that I personally like Aki and Shiho more than the main couple. Sorry, not sorry. So I was very invested in their journey. I feel like the fact that I could even get more invested in a side couple as opposed to the main couple is a good thing in itself. While I consider Shiho to be tragic, Shiho is also a character who is deeply human. She is a girl who's lost everything since before she can remember. She's a girl who's been fighting an uphill battle against the world since she was a child. But even through all of that, Shiho's feelings run very deep. Even though her first love had a thing for someone else and this deeply hurt her, she still cared. Though the manga had a tendency to paint Shiho in a sort of villainous light, below that, Shiho was very caring. Throughout the series, she clings to the slight hope that maybe one day her and her first love can reconnect. And they do. By chapter 60, Shiho is in an entirely different place from where she was 10 or 20 chapters ago. It's a satisfying investment that feels deserved after everything that Shiho had to endure. Shiho is a character who may appear as abrasive, or maybe even cruel, But the story does a fantastic job of explaining why she is the way that she is in a way that gives proper reason to all her actions thus far. Now, while the comment that recommended this video said, explain why Shiho is perfectly written, I'll be honest, I don't really share that same opinion, but I do believe that Shiho brings something new to the Yuri space. I 100% see why people flock to Whispering Me a Love Song. I see why people are so defensive of Shiho as a character. But guys, if you want me to talk about a character who's so perfectly written, then just suggest Yuri next. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I just lost like 20 subscribers from that, didn't I? Oh my god. But that said, thank you all for watching. I hope that this video was enjoyable. If you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed. Seriously, I check my analytics. Some of you guys come back to my content very frequently and just are not subscribed. So subscribe unless you want me to go back to working a 9 to 5. I wish I was joking. That's not a joke. Just subscribe. Thank you all for watching.